One aspect of education that every Montessori educator needs to be at least aware of, and preferably on top of in this day, is something called the Common Core State Standards. These are a set of standards that have been standardized across many of our states. Over 40 states have adopted them. There's still a lot of controversy around them, but at this point, for private school educators and public school educators, this is now a set of expectations that you need to be aware of, because parents are going to be aware of them. Not all parents, a lot of parents aren't going to couldn't care less about them, but you will need to be aware of these. I'm going to encourage you to look for resources that simplify the expectations, make them easier for people to understand, to wrap their head around. It is a very long document, the actual set of standards. I do encourage you to have that available to you, and if you are in the public sector, to your teachers. If you do have educators who have been working under other standards, if you're an established public Montessori school and you've been working under other state standards, some kinds of documents. I'm going to be at a school in California, and so I've been looking at what's online there, and there are some wonderful documents comparing the standards that the expectations on teachers were before and after the implementation of these. If you don't have any awareness of the Common Core standards, that's going to create a problem for your school, especially if you have an elementary level. If you have only a 3 to 6 classroom, I still suggest that you be aware of these. You're going to make a few discoveries that are pretty wonderful from my perspective. You'll see things like rectangular arrays mentioned with the math standards. We see rectangular arrays all over our Montessori materials. So there are definitely some things that will validate what you're already doing. Most importantly, please make sure that expectations are clear around the standards and around testing for your classroom leads. Make sure that they have the tools that they need to be able to work under whatever expectations are in place. If you do have standardized testing, make sure that they have support for either online or printed materials to treat testing prep as a practical life skill, because at this point in our education system's maturity, it is a practical life skill. If children can't demonstrate some competence through the tests that they're expected to take, their options are limited. In some parts of our country, the quality of schools that they can attend are limited. So make sure that you as an educator are taking responsibility for that. If you have questions about these, reach out in your community. You may be surprised who already has done work on this within Montessori. And finally, I'm going to mention, in relation to the electronic record keeping that we've already discussed, that can be a wonderful way to manage these kind of through the back door. If you are using one of the electronic record keeping programs that either has the standards mapped into them, or that you can bring in copied lesson plans and reports that connect your Montessori lessons to the standards, that can be a way that your teachers and your entire community can manage these requirements that are a fact of life for a lot of us without having it be a burden, without having it interfere with the sequence of Montessori education that's where your primary focus needs to be. So I encourage you, and this project this week is figure out how you are going to interact with that fact of life. If you are in public education, I think you probably need to put more emphasis on this, but if you have not set up an electronic record keeping system, look to that as a potential solution to doing Montessori in the time of Common Core State Standards.